Hello, this is Ilya, and this is my advice for writing a personal statement aimed at Oxbridge, but this is also valid for any UK university. Just to clarify, a personal statement is a document that you'll be writing as part of your university application, and it's an opportunity for you to explain why you deserve to get the place that you're applying for. It's maximum 4,000 characters, which is about 500 words, so it's quite short. First of all, if you haven't started writing your personal statement already and you're applying to Oxbridge this year, you need to start writing your personal statement now because it's best not to leave this until the last minute. The deadline for applications is the 15th of October for Oxbridge, and schools tend to have internal deadlines a few weeks earlier. My school's deadline was like end of September. So it's best to start writing your personal statement as soon as possible if you haven't started writing it already. The way I'd recommend starting is to open a Word document and write down everything about you, especially your strengths and your achievements, and ignore the word count for now. In general, write down the stuff that makes you look good and don't put down the stuff that are your weaknesses unless you have a good reason to do so. You could maybe mention a failure in case it taught you a valuable lesson, or you might mention a bad exam result because you're explaining extenuating circumstances, but in general, you want to focus on your positive attributes. Once you've written down everything which you can think of, start crafting it into good English. Don't use fancy words when an ordinary word will do, but at the same time, you want to make it look sophisticated and well written. There's two main things which your personal statement should achieve. The first one is you want to come across as if you are an excellent candidate for the course you're applying for. The second thing is that you need to prove to the reader that you are truly passionate about the subject you're applying for. You don't want to look as if you just want to get into Oxbridge for whatever course. Once you've got some good content, start refining it, and it's going to take many revisions for you to have perfected your personal statement. 4,000 characters is not a lot, so make sure you don't include anything that you don't need to. Keep your personal statement as concise as possible. Also, remember to keep saving it in case your computer crashes or something like that. Don't repeat any information and get rid of anything which doesn't add substance to your personal statement. In general, there's no point mentioning stuff which is already in your UCAS application, such as school grades or music grade, especially if it's not relevant to the course you're applying for. Make sure to sell yourself, but at the same time, don't come across as arrogant. You can describe your achievements without coming across as if you're really full of yourself or as if you think you're the next Einstein, for example. While trying to sell yourself, be honest, don't lie, and if you're bending the truth, be very careful. For example, if you say you read a book which you haven't read, that could be problematic because they might ask you in your interview, tell us about this book, and you won't be prepared. What you could say is you've read these books which you haven't read yet, but when your interview comes, you'll have read them by then. So you could do that, but that is a risky strategy. Part of being honest also means that you don't plagiarize. If you copy content from the internet and put it on your personal statement, they can potentially catch it using anti-plagiarism software, and you'll probably be rejected from all your universities if you do get caught. So it's not really worth it. Also, if you're getting someone else to write your personal statement for you, then Oxbridge probably isn't the place for you anyway. Also, be careful about what you do mention in your personal statement because you might have to talk about it in your interview. For example, I specifically avoided mentioning this science project which I was involved with at school because I didn't want to talk about it in my interview. Unfortunately, one of my teachers had written about it in my reference, and the interviewers had read it and they asked me a question about it. Regardless, you should still avoid writing stuff in your personal statement if you're not prepared to talk about it. When you're writing your personal statement, try to avoid cliches such as, since I was a child, I've wanted to study economics, because it makes people cringe and it comes across as if you're not genuine. I avoided mentioning that I had read The Selfish Gene by Richard Dawkins in my personal statement because it's a very cliched biology book and I wanted to stand out. And I imagine that a lot of people would say in their personal statement that they'd read The Selfish Gene. Also, I didn't feel like revising The Selfish Gene in preparation for my interview because it's quite a lot of effort to revise a whole book for your interview. If you avoid cliches, you've got a better chance of standing out and being original, which is something that you definitely want. You don't get into Oxbridge by not standing out. In my personal statement, I included a link to a website which I'd made as part of this school science project, and I think it made me stand out, and it was also an opportunity to indirectly increase my word count. While trying to be original, there are some things you should still avoid. For example, trying to be funny is a risky move because it could easily backfire if the reader doesn't have the same sense of humor as you, and it might make it look as if you're not taking your application seriously. While you're drafting your personal statement, make sure to show it to other people. Show it to your friends, your teachers, your parents. Show it to them and ask them to proofread it. Make sure to give them plenty of time to read it, and maybe don't ask them too much in case they get bored reading it. But get them to read it and listen to their advice. It's your personal statement though, so you don't need to listen to what they say, but it's helpful to hear what others think. Your later personal statement drafts will be around 4,000 characters, and make sure that there are no errors of any kind. Any grammatical or typos, they will seriously make you look bad, so make sure there are none of those errors. Also make sure that it is as concise as possible. Not a single character should be extra. Keep in mind that you're applying to multiple universities and potentially multiple courses, and you don't want to tailor your personal statement for just one course or one university if you're applying for multiple. Similarly, don't say, I really want to study at Cambridge, because it makes it seem as if you only care about Cambridge and not about your course, and the other universities you apply for will probably not approve. Finally, keep in mind that a personal statement is just one aspect of your application. A good personal statement won't be enough to get you into Oxbridge. There are many other factors such as your grades, how well you do in the entrance exam, and how well you do in your interview, for example. Also, unfortunately, it's possible that your personal statement won't even matter. Your interviewers might only glance at it a minute before the interview, or they might not even read it. For subjects like maths, I can imagine that your personal statement is not really that important. However, you should still write a good personal statement just in case it does matter. Thank you for listening, and comment any questions about getting into Cambridge or Oxbridge if you have. Make sure to subscribe first. Thank you.